Welcome to today's Global Connections program. I'm Bill Miller. Today we're going to be looking at a factor called character and what it means for leadership. My guest today is an expert on this topic. Mr. Robert Dilenschneider is the founder and CEO of the Dilenschneider Group. He is one of the world's foremost communication experts and leadership coaches. Mr. Dilenschneider is widely published, having authored 18 seminal business and career development books. His latest book is Character, Life Lessons in Courage, Integrity, and Leadership. Robert Dilenschneider, welcome to today's Global Connections program.
Bill, you're great to have me on. This is a wonderful program, and I know it reaches many people, not just in Kentucky, but elsewhere. So you really make a statement.
Well, thank you. We are worldwide, no doubt about it. But anyway, well, thank you and congratulations on your interesting book. Let me just briefly, why did you write Character?
Well, I saw the country, in my opinion at least, slipping, going further and further south. And I felt something should be done about it. I saw more people getting involved in crime, more people getting involved in just good old prejudice, more people working for the wrong things, and I felt something ought to be done about it. So I wrote the book, and I put into the book people who I feel I admire, of course, but who have character and who stood for the things that are important to the country. That's why I did that.
Mm-hmm. Now, how do you define courage? I'm just curious. It's a term we use quite often, I'm sure, and every person watching this has courage to some degree. How would you define it?
Well, all of us have people that are going at us, not behind us. And to have the ability to go back at them and withstand what can sometimes be a withering experience is really courage. It takes a lot to have courage. A lot of people just roll over and accept it. That's the wrong thing to do. You've got to have the courage to stand up and be counted for your principles. What makes a big difference for you? So that's the reason courage is in there.
I see. Now, excuse me, courage, integrity, and leadership, how do they work together?
The great people have all three. Not everybody has all three. A lot of people have courage. A lot of people have leadership. A lot of people have integrity, but very few really have all three. So when you find somebody like that, and hopefully the people in the book are like that, you can really say to yourself, I've got something. This person is of real consequence. So that's the reason that they're in the book.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that certainly can. It certainly will. Well, you use several examples of outstanding leaders and really role models for people, not only in the United States, but in many areas of the world,
Sure.
as really courageous, wonderful leaders who came on the scene at the right time. Let's talk about a few of them. One of them was Nelson Mandela. Why did you pick Nelson Mandela?
Well, Mandela was a person in South Africa, and he stood, in his mind, and many other people as well, for what was right and to involve South Africa or South Africans. And that meant everybody, regardless of race or color. And so Mandela kind of stood up and did it. His wife, Winnie Mandela, was effective, but when Nelson went to jail, she tried to take over. It didn't really work. So Nelson Mandela was in jail for many years. The establishment did not like him. It's a mistake because when he got out, he was just that much more committed and bitter about what had taken place.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and Mandela, well, he was in prison. Well, I remember he was on Robben Island, right off Cape Town, for, as you mentioned, for decades, really, come right down to it, I guess. And he was the first president of, the first all-race free elections that South Africa had. And so, of course, he was a momentous figure. He was also not a great figure just in South Africa, but he was a role model for people around the world. He was they lionized him at the United Nations, and NATO and other international organizations for obvious reasons. When you look at Mandela, he created I think it's the Reconciliation Commission. Is that correct? And he brought that together to overcome the hatred and the misunderstandings that so many of the South Africans had against each other, people in South Africa. How did that play into it?
I think, again, everybody has his or her own pursuit, whether it's a country or on an issue. And I think if the people are committed, it's very difficult to shake their view. So the key is to know how to shake that view, how to appeal to them, how to get them on side and behind one important issue. That's really the key to almost everything. So if you're a country or a city promoting yourself, have the 2 or 3 issues that you think are going to really work. If you're an individual trying to move forward, have the parts of your background that really stand out, that make people say, this person is really a great person. So I think those 2 things are very, very important.
Mm-hmm. And he was a great person. And he was one who I think he knew he had to not forget, but he certainly had to forgive all of the people who had sort of trespassed against him and made his life miserable, along with so many of the people, especially colored or non-white people in South Africa, I should say. But he certainly was a great leader. Well, another leader you had identified was Eleanor Roosevelt. Why did you pick Eleanor Roosevelt?
One of the first women to really stand up and be counted. She saw the platform she had, White House, and took advantage of it, and worked to really demonstrate that women did count. And up until that time, women were scullery maids. They stayed in the house. Were not counted at all. Eleanor Roosevelt began to change all of that, and she changed it by being very, very active. She was highly articulate. She was full of energy. She really went forward in strong ways to demonstrate that women do matter, as they do. And today we have many people, unfortunately, who don't cite Eleanor Roosevelt and what she did, but who stand up for what they have to stand up for. And it's good, because the environment they're active in is the environment that Mrs. Rockefeller tried to create. I was not surprised when she lost her life. There are a lot of people out there that just don't appeal to her.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and she was a great leader too, in many respects. She took on the whole issue of racism during a very, very tenuous time in the United States. And she wrote articles, as I recall, traveled around the country, and just did a variety of things to knock down the barriers of racism, did she not?
Yes, but racism still exists.
Oh, yes.
All over the country, and we shouldn't fool ourselves. She did knock down the barriers, but those barriers are still there by uninformed people who are unwilling to give others a chance. And racism exists at all levels. And by the way, racism just doesn't exist with the whites. Racism exists with the blacks too. Blacks, brown people, they look at whites in a racist kind of a way. So it's something's got to happen. Somebody's got to stand up. Martin Luther King tried to do the right thing, but you saw what happened to him. There are other people who have tried very hard to do the right thing. Oftentimes moving off a church or a service. Occasionally it works, but there's nothing that right now that is sustained out there dealing with racism, which is one of the reasons I wrote this book. The people that are cited in the book do deal with racism, and they overcome it, but it's not enough. Much more has to get done. I remember the moments with Lou Gehrig, very famous first baseman for the New York Yankees. I hope I'm not offending anybody on the show, but Lou was a fantastic hitter. He played at the time of Babe Ruth. Babe got all the attention. Gehrig didn't get much attention at all, but he might have been a better player all around. than Ruth. He just never saw it. There were people who did not like Lou Gehrig. I have a hard time understanding why, but they were there. And Gehrig just kind of gritted it through, stood up, did what was right, and brought people around. Very good person.
Mm-hmm. And we're going to talk about him and a couple of other people too, as soon as we come back from this mid-show ID. Well, you're watching Global Connections Television, which is a privately funded, independently produced program. The opinions expressed on Global Connections are solely those of the moderator and his guests. We'd invite our viewers to go to our website at www.globalconnectionstelevision.com to view previous programs. Also, if you're involved with the PBS or community access television station, or perhaps an educational institution that has an intra-campus television hookup, or you have a podcast, or you just have a computer, you like our shows and you would like to share them, please feel free to do so. Global Connections Television is provided at no cost as a public service to help us better understand international issues and how they impact our lives. Today, we're taking a look at character and courage and leadership skills to see how we can incorporate them into our lives. My guest today is an expert on this topic. Mr. Robert L. Dilenschneider is the founder and CEO of the Dilenschneider Group. He is one of the world's foremost communication experts and leadership courses. Mr. Dilenschneider recently wrote a book titled Character, Life Lessons in Courage, Integrity, and Leadership. We're talking about your book, and we're talking about some notable people. We started off with Eleanor Roosevelt, and the one thing I was going to mention about her, I almost got sidetracked for a moment. She was the driving force behind developing the Universal Declaration of Human Rights at the United Nations, which was adopted by the UN General Assembly in 1948, and has really been a blueprint, an outline, so to speak, for human rights and how we should approach human rights around the world. So she was truly a sort of an avant-garde, a courageous person, because that, for a woman, that was obviously a great task, but she was outstanding. Now, another person that you had mentioned was John McCain, a former senator, Republican senator from Arizona. Why did you pick John McCain?
Why did you pick John McCain?
I picked John McCain because what he really stood for. I mean, he was a person of caliber who did the right thing, oftentimes did the right thing in the face of a very stiff and strong wind. He stood up for his interests, for his beliefs, and it was very easy to pick him. A lot of people didn't like John McCain. A lot of people said about John McCain, he's the wrong guy. I believe John McCain, if he'd done it a little bit differently, could be in the White House today, but he's not. So that's why I picked John McCain. I mean, I picked people like Colin Powell. Colin Powell was obviously a major figure in the military, but I met Colin Powell. I used to live in New York City at 5 Tudor City Place, and Colin Powell would walk up 41st Street, the Hill, to go to the UN, where he was our guy at the UN. And I encountered him one day, and I said, Mr. Powell, could I take just about a few minutes and sit down? I'd like to interview you. So we went into the park that was adjacent to Tudor City, spent 4 hours talking with Powell, giving me his ideas and his thinking. And Powell's thinking was everybody deserves a fair shot. I believe in standing up for the United States. I believe in standing up for everybody out there. And I'm totally against oppression. Colin Powell, John McCain, all these different people in the book stood for the same thing. This is not a book for racists. It's a book for people that want to make a difference.
It certainly sounds like it, yes. No doubt about that, yes. Well, how many people did you cover in your book? I'm just curious. Do you recall?
31. 31.
31.
31. I had interviews with probably 300, but 31 made the cut. And it was hard selecting them because they were really prominent people I didn't put in the book who, frankly, if I had more pages and more time, I should have done it. But the book's chapters are 3 or 4 pages, 5 pages on each one of these people. And it's an easy read. So you can just read it, put it down, go back to the next day or that evening and see another one. And they all carry the same ideas and ideals. And that's very important.
Right. Very, very true. No doubt about that. And that's something that's endemic in all of these skills brought together that really help people to excel in their various professions and to hopefully work to create a better world. Well,
For
it's really an interesting book. Do you think that is this book being utilized by other folks around the world, by
colleges and universities
colleges and universities?
are starting to use the book. I put the book in the hands of world leaders all over the globe. People like Macron in France, top people in India, top people in Germany. I'm hopeful they're going to begin to use the book. And if they do, I think it'll help their constituents.
Yeah, no doubt about that. That's for sure. Yes. Yeah. And it's certainly one that needs to be shared because we need really outstanding leadership in this world, especially with the issues that we're confronting today. You were talking, racism was one of the major driving forces that caused you to write this book or to get involved. What do you see as some of the other issues that we're confronting in this world that need to be addressed?
Well, racism is a big one, but people believe, I think, that if you don't have proper station in life, proper position, nobody should pay attention to you. People believe that if you're from the wrong side of the tracks, people should not pay attention to you. If you have ideas that are different from the norm, people don't pay attention to you. The fact is, oftentimes those ideas that are different from the norm take hold and grab people's attention and become the idea. So there are a lot of things that stop people from being successful out there. And I try to capture many of them in the book.
Mm-hmm.
There's a fellow who invented insulin. And he was a Brit, and he invented insulin, found it. And insulin today is, as we know, used by tens of thousands, millions of people. This guy never wanted attention. I said to him, I'm doing a piece in the book on you. He said, I don't want it. He said, I've done my job with insulin. That's all I have to do. I've got nothing more to do. So there are people like that out there. Again, if you take a look at Lou Gehrig, who I just barely knew, Gehrig played at the time of Babe Ruth. The Babe got all the attention, still gets it. Gehrig just didn't mind it, sucked it up, and played a heck of a game at first base. 2,100 straight games. Really a fantastic ball player. But the book is full of people like that. People who live up to their ideals and ideas and who say to themselves, I'm going to do it no matter what. The book is full of people like S.P. Hinduja. Hinduja is an Indian. For many years, he was the wealthiest man in Great Britain. So here's an Indian person, the wealthiest man in Great Britain. You can imagine how the Brits felt about that. But S.P. Hinduja, time and again, stepped forward and made a big difference in everything he did. He had an attitude and a view about what was supposed to happen, and it worked.
It certainly sounds like it did. Yeah. Who were a couple of the other people? We won't have time, unfortunately, to go into them, but what are their names of people that that you focused the limelight on to highlight how they developed their courage and leadership skills?
Well, there are many, actually. And it's people that almost everybody knows their names. I mean, for example, it's people like John Wooden, the coach at UCLA.
Sure.
I remember John Wooden. I met him when I was in high school, and he came to scout the team. And at the end of the game, he came down under the stands and sat next to me, and I was just overwhelmed. And this was John Wooden, UCLA. And Wooden said to me in a very frank voice, Sir, you don't have the strength to play underneath, you're not big enough, and you're not fast enough to play on the outside. Go back to school and learn. And he was very smart, very right, and that's what I did. And so there are people like Wooden in the book, people like Ted Hesburgh. There are many people of that caliber that are in this book, and it's really worth going through.
That was Hesburgh from Notre Dame. Is that correct?
Yes, from Notre Dame. He stood up for the right thing, and boy, he set the model for what was going to happen in colleges and universities, and people followed it for many, many years. He's an icon at Notre Dame.
Yes, he certainly was. Yes. And in other arenas also, not just at the university. What recommendations would you have, or main recommendation for people who are watching the program today, as far as what they can do to get involved and to really pick up these skills? Many of them already have them, I'm sure, but we can always work on self-improvement. Nobody is perfect, I would imagine, but
nobody's perfect. If you believe
nobody's perfect, but what recommendations would you have?
Believe in yourself, find a platform on which to express your point of view, try to bring people together behind you to support your point of view. That'll make a big difference. And if you do, if everybody did that and they had the right platform, wow, look, stand back. The country would be better off for it.
Mm-hmm. And we have so many issues today that you and I did not talk about today. Racism is still with us. There's no doubt about it. We've got international conflicts that are going on. Climate change is viewed as probably the number one problem we're going to be dealing with in the world today and tomorrow, to be quite honest. So we really have so many issues, and we do need leaders who are confident and people who have facts, people who know what they're talking about and just don't pick up rumors and throw out wild ideas. Well, I heard this here, I heard it there, but we absolutely have to have that. But Robert Dilenschneider,
people like that today, we wouldn't be in Ukraine the way we are. We wouldn't be worried about what was going to happen in Western Europe. We'd bring the Chinese into a positive environment with the United States. But that's all going to be worked on, I guess, by Donald Trump.
We need to do all of the things you mentioned, with especially bringing the Chinese in to some degree so that we can defuse any of the tensions that we have, because there are many last things we don't need. One of the last things is to have a nuclear war between the United States and China, or any nuclear war which could decimate the planet and literally destroy the planet for all living organisms. It's not just a matter of who's going to be left to sweep up the rubble. We have to have people who can make sound, logical decisions, and people who are well educated. But Robert Dilenschneider, it's an interesting book. It's one that I'm sure that many of the people who are leading groups, Toastmasters and a variety of other people, will be referencing for many, many years. But I want to thank you so very much for a very interesting and a very informative program.
Well, this is a popular television program that people watch. It's a program that makes a difference, largely because of you and your fine producers.
Well, thank you. We appreciate it. And best wishes on your book. And if you do a tour, best wishes on your tour. Thanks again for an excellent program.
Take care and have a good afternoon.
You too. This is Bill Miller. Thank you for joining us today on Global Connections Television.